All right, guys. Next up here, we're going to do something called a geometric series. Now, this is a lot like with the sequences we did before, where it's just a list of numbers. But whenever it's a series, how that is different is that this is the sum of the sequence. The sum of the sequence. Okay, so there's kind of two ways that we can do this. So I'll kind of show you guys two options here for this first one, and then we'll choose which one's better. So option one is we can literally just add these all up, and so I'm gonna say it's -1 -4 -16 -64. And then what I have to do is I have to kind of continue the pattern here to finish it off. And so I see that this is a ×4 pattern. It's times +4 because it's staying negative the whole time. And so if I did, let me get my calculator here, 64 times 4, that would be -256. And then since it says n equals 6, that means I need 6 numbers. Now right now it looks like I have 5. So I'm going to multiply by 4 one more time, and I get 10 minus 1024. And then I would just type all of those into the calculator. So -1 -4 -16 -64 -256 -1024. And if I subtract all, or it's really adding a bunch of negative numbers in this case, it comes out to -1365. And so that is it. Now, the other option for this is there is actually a formula for this. And so I'll write that down if you'd rather use the formula. The formula is the sum equals a sub 1, so that's the first term, times 1 minus r to the power of n over 1 minus r. And so in this case, we can see that the first term is -1. We could also see that r is 4, since that's what's being multiplied every time here. And then n is the number of terms, and so this one says 6. And so if I just plug that all in here, I'm going to get -1 times 1 minus 4 to the power of 6 over 1 minus 4. And so let's see, we could simplify that a little bit. And so I'm going to say -1. And then if I did this one, I would do in the calculator. So let's see, 1 minus 4 to the power of 6 is -4095 divided by -3. So then if I did -1 times -4095, that's obviously just +4095. And so on my calculator, if I divide that by a -3, that gives me -1365. So I'm not sure which one of those you thought was easier. Obviously you kind of have to know the formula in order to do that one. Or on the other one, you can just, if you have a calculator, you can just add everything up. You kind of need a calculator for either one. So I kind of prefer option one, so I don't have to memorize a formula personally. But like you see, we can get the same answer either way. All right, now we'll go for number 38 here. Same idea. I'm going to just pick one here. So I'm going to go ahead and use the, let's see. I'll go ahead and use the formula here. So on this one, we know to see what's happening here is multiplying by -4. So that means that equals r. Remember also for r, you could do a2 divided by a1, and that would be -4 divided by 1, so that's also -4. We know n is 7, and then we know a1 is 1. And so if we want to do this, we could say the sum equals a1, and I'm going back to kind of this formula right here. So a1 times 1 minus r, in this case r is negative, so I need to put that in a little parentheses there, over 1 minus r. Now, very important on this one, we don't go minus minus to plus plus here because we have to do that exponent first. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's see. Negative 4 to the 7th power is negative 16,384. I can change that. Okay, and then now it's minus minus, and we can change that to plus plus. So this will actually turn into 1 plus 13,684. Sorry, 16,384. So it's going to be 16,385. Down here is minus minus plus plus, so it's going to be a 5 down there. And then divide that, so divide those together, and that just comes out to 3277. All right, next up here. So you see n keeps getting bigger here. So this is where you might want to use the formula, but just so I can show you the other way as well, we'll go ahead and use the other one this time. So we see the pattern here is again times 4. And so 64 times 4. So then the next term, I'll just continue it up here. So plus 256 plus times 4 is 1024 times 4 is 4096. Let's see how many terms we have now. That's 7, so I need one more. And so that's plus 16,384. And now I need to add up all of these together, and I can use my calculator for that. Once again, you could use the formula for this if you'd like. They come out to the same answer either way, so whatever you think is easier. And so I'm just typing all these on my calculator, adding them up. This one's kind of easy because they're all positive. And this one gives me 21,845. 21,845. All right, next question here, number 40. So this one says it's times 4, one more time, for our r. And so I'm going to go back and use the formula now. So it's going to be a1 times 1 minus r to the power of n over 1 minus r. And so on this one, we know our a1 here is 2. And then we said r was 4. And then n is 9. So we'll go 2 times 1 minus 4 to the power of 9 over 1 minus 4. So the bottom there will become negative 3. I'm going to do this in my calculator, the 1 minus 4 to the 9th. And that's actually a big number there, negative 262,143. So then I'll multiply that by 2 and then divide by negative 3. And I'll get my final answer there, which is still a big number. It is 174,762. So if I would have just kept multiplying by 4 and made the list like I did up here, I would have ended up, if I added all those up, I would have gotten that same answer.